Well, hello, slingers. Welcome to another Word Slinger Podcast. I'm glad you're here. I have you to be thankful for, because this is the official Word Slinger Podcast Thanksgiving episode. More gratitude right after this.
It's the Word Slinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger.
Word Slinger.
Well, I am Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger. Welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of the Word Slinger Podcast. Not sure if I'm going to, because the show generally goes live on Thursdays, I may bump it up and send it out live today, Wednesday, after I record this. It just depends on how quickly I'm able to do the editing and everything. I got a lot of these. I just recorded my Substack companion video for my personal channel. If you're not tuned in, by the way, I have my channel. I call it The Kevin Show. That's not the channel. That's the name of the show I record. There's two things I've got going. I've got two major playlists on my personal channel and that would be youtube.com/Kevin Tomlinson, by the way. But every week now, I record a companion video to go along with my Substack post. Actually, what I do, this is kind of interesting. I've started recording the video first and then writing the post based on the video. I do a little transcript and I sort of read back through that and start kind of riffing on it and writing a companion post. So it's not like an exact word for word thing. It's more the same idea, same inspiration. This week I'm talking about found family and Thanksgiving, of course, and I'm not actually going to make that episode go live until the Friday, because that typically goes live on Fridays, and so I'm going to go ahead and post that after Thanksgiving. So it's a little late for the Thanksgiving theme, but it's I think you'll enjoy it. So if you want to see that and you want to see what I've already done, go to youtube.com/Kevin Tomlinson, or you can always find them, and I really appreciate it if you subscribe to my Substack at kevintomlinson.substack.com. You can also find that if you go to my personal website, kevintomlinson.com, you'll find all this stuff, including the Wordslinger Podcast. All that is right there on that homepage. I'm starting to see a fragmentation on all that stuff, and I'm going to find a way to consolidate it all. I need to have one portal. I guess the website is it, but I've adapted a very Substack first process. Everything filters through Substack. So maybe that's the homepage. Maybe I should I retire my author website and just make Substack my author website? Should I do that? And the argument would always be something along the lines of, you want to own your platform, but you do own your mailing list at Substack. It does help me build a mailing list faster. I'm able to attract people easier. The discoverability is higher. I do get people coming to my website, but other than it's a store, it's a show front is what it is. You let me know. Something I started there, by the way, is a little shop I call Curated. I've talked about this before, but if you go to kevintomlinson.com/curated, I've built this affiliate shop there. It's kind of a proof of concept for something else I'm building, but it's every product. I take a photograph of an actual item in my possession that I love and use, that's part of my story. So, just the example I keep using is like I photographed, if you're watching on YouTube, I have this leather pin sleeve, and I use this to hold my Apple Pencil, because even though it can attach to my iPad magnetically, it gets knocked off a lot. It's kind of in the way there. So I'll charge it up periodically. I don't use it often enough to justify keeping it on the iPad full time, but I use this little sleeve to carry it around, and I also carry one of my Pentel Energel navy blue pens. I've photographed both of these objects individually and posted them on the site. I do a little touch up on the photo, make them look good, studio quality. But then what I do is I write a little vignette about each, and it's not this pen is 7mm. I don't go into any of. I maybe mention some of those details sometimes, but what I do is tell you a little story about how this fits in with my life, and it'll be something like, I was sitting by I was sitting on the shores of a lake overlooking a mountain view in South Dakota. The breeze was cool and the sun was warm, and I go into some detail about how it fits my story. So that's the idea, and then I have an affiliate link to that product. And if that product is not, and right now I'm just defaulting to Amazon because it's just easier. Eventually, I'm going to set up affiliate relationships with other places, start promoting some other things that I have that aren't available on Amazon. But what I've been doing is, if something is not available on Amazon, I will find the closest equivalent and link to that, because it's not about the product specifically. It's about the experience that I have with the product and that I hope that you will have with the product. So that's what I've been doing on the retail side. Go check that out, kevintomlinson.com/curated. I'm going to be enhancing that. I've got some ideas about what to do with that going forward. I think you'll dig it. But let me know. Let me know what you think of that storefront. Since this is a Thanksgiving themed episode, I'm going tomorrow morning. Kara and I will get up early and go and visit her family, her parents. They only live about an hour from here, in a resort area, and we're gonna go hang out with them for the day and the evening. Her brother and his family will be showing up, and we have all spent Thanksgivings and Christmases and things together for the past 20 years. They're a good family. It's a good family to be a part of. I'm honored to be a part of this family. But in my personal episode, I talked about found family and how I'm grateful for all the found family I have, because I got a lot of friends, that have been with me most of my life, and a few that I've only met in the past, 10, 15 years, 5 years, maybe 2 years in some cases. I got a couple of friends that I consider to be close enough to be family now that I've only known for a year or so. And that's always been my way. I've always found my family among my friends. I don't know why that is. I have great blood relatives, but I don't see most of them most of the time. My mom and my brother are pretty much the only blood relatives that I see on a regular basis or communicate with. And of course, absolutely love my mom and my brother. And I didn't mention this in my personal video, but I always say my brother, he's the one I was raised with. I have other brothers, including one who passed away a month or so ago. And I'm still kind of dealing with that. Every now and then, I sort of forget that he's gone. But I have other brothers. I haven't met all of them. In fact, I've never met any of them, except for the two I just mentioned. I have a sister that I've only met a few times, and we have no contact with each other. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Let's just put it that way. And so I got a lot of siblings out there that I've never met. So I don't think I can necessarily call them family. I don't think that's what family is. It's not about being related to people. It's about relating to people. So anyway, since this is Thanksgiving, I want to talk. There's that I'm grateful for. But on the sort of writing and publishing front, there's been a lot happening this year that it's been a rough couple of years, but I've had a lot happen in this past year that I'm very grateful for. JD and I finished the book that we're working on. It needs some rewrites, so that it's not quite finished, but it's written and it's ready, and we'll be tinkering with it. But that experience is something I'm grateful for, and the Writers Inc. podcast, which I'll talk about in just a moment, by the way, because I got an announcement on that front. I've gotten 2 other books written this year that are kind of getting the TradPub treatment. I've got some other things in the works. I feel like my career took a little bit of a slump, and I got burnt out, and then this year has been a year of recovery. So I'm really grateful for all that. And I'm grateful also for all the kind things that people say and send to me and write to me, and people are asking about, when is this book coming out? Sometimes they're a little impatient, but when's the next Kotler book coming out? I'm just grateful that all this is even a thing, and I've had some opportunities this year that are incredible. Someone is asking about the Kotler books to potentially produce those as something, perhaps a streaming series or a film series. That's interesting. It's just getting started, so who knows? I've had interest in that series before. Same with Evergreen. Same thing. Those 2 get a lot of attention. So I've got people interested in that stuff. So I'm grateful for that. Even if it goes nowhere, I'm grateful that that the stories are intriguing enough that they would even get that kind of attention. This year has been sort of a great year of personal growth. I'm grateful for the people who've helped us out, seen to us, made sure we were okay. I'm grateful for all the people who check in on us. There's a lot to be grateful for. And on the writing front in particular, there's all these opportunities coming my way. In fact, yesterday I had a conversation about something career-wise that I've been kind of holding out for, and we're going to see how it goes. There was good news, but it's still a sort of wait kind of thing. But that one I'm grateful for because it won't just benefit me, it'll benefit the writing community. So I'm looking forward to being able to announce what that is. This is my teaser. Sorry. Anyway, so on the Writers Inc. front, we are going to actually record our Thanksgiving episode today. We're not really a Thanksgiving episode. I'll try to shift it in that direction, but we have a Canadian on board, so she skews our topic a little, but because it's not Thanksgiving in Canada, but we're recording early because of the holiday, and no one's going to be around tomorrow, and one of the things I wanted to announce here. I'm working on this now, but we're going to start sort of simulcasting the Writers Inc. podcast to this YouTube channel, to the Word Slinger Podcast YouTube channel. So not the podcast side. So I won't be recreating the podcast on podcast platforms. So if you listen to the show, you can find the Writers Inc. podcast on all the same platforms where you find Wordslinger Podcast. I do recommend you listen. It's a great show, and we interview people. One of the reasons I don't do as many interviews on Wordslinger anymore is because we do so many on that show, and it's a lot of the same guests. And so this is an opportunity for me to have slightly different topics that kind of overlap with the writing space. And so I'm trying to kind of silo things a little. But I had an idea years ago that I've never fully brought to fruition, but I wanted to create a kind of podcast network for writers. And others have tried this, and they've done pretty well with some of it, but I'm going to kind of experiment. But this is going to be kind of one of my first toe dips into this river. I think that because JD approached me about would I like to start posting our episodes on my YouTube channel. Absolutely, but I saw it as a sign that I should loop back and take on this idea again. And so we'll have the Wordslinger Podcast, which airs generally on Thursdays, unless there's a major holiday that mucks up the works. And the Writers Inc. podcast airs generally on Tuesdays. I'm going to try to get synced up so that I'm airing our show on the same day. Airing our show on my channel on the same day. But it might shift just because I don't know. We'll see. But at any rate, what I want to do is make the Wordslinger Podcast YouTube channel into a kind of writers podcast network. And we'll start here. There's some production I'm going to have to do because all I've got are mostly audio files for those episodes. I need to figure out the best way to present those on a YouTube podcast playlist. But that's what we're going to do. And maybe that'll evolve going forward. So I know the inevitable question is going to be from some of you who have your own writing podcasts. It's going to be, can I get my show on your network? And maybe, but give me some time to kind of figure this out. I'm going to, because there's actually some folks I've been thinking about approaching about this. And some of them are not going to want to do it. They're going to want to keep their show on their channel, and I get that. But we'll see. Anyway, what I want is for the Wordslinger Podcast YouTube channel to become a hub for writing and publishing, and cover it from all angles. The Wordslinger Podcast itself, I've kept the topic kind of broad. I've kept things, I've kept the scope of all this broad enough that I can talk to just about anyone about just about anything, or I can just sit here and pontificate and ramble for 45 minutes or so, off the top of my head. But I see value in that for writers. I saw value in dipping into podcasts outside the writing sphere when I was learning how to do all this. I tended to gravitate to like entrepreneurial type podcasts, but I also gravitated towards things that just sparked inspiration and interest in me. So, I loved listening to podcasts about, how someone started their business or the inspiration for it, but I also loved listening to interviews with interesting people who were not entrepreneurs, or who, maybe they were artists, or maybe they were, I don't know, monks. I don't know. They were not necessarily in the writing space though. And what I came to realize was there's value in hearing those perspectives, and that's what Wordslinger Podcast has really always been. I know it ended up being more of a self-publishing podcast for most of its existence, but I have been a podcaster and speaker in that space in so many ways. There are only so many topics when it comes down to it. So it's always been better for me to pursue my interests with this show. And a lot of times that loops back to, how do I relate this to me being a writer? And so I think that's been beneficial. It's been beneficial to me, and therefore I think it's probably been beneficial to you. And judging from the comments and emails and things I've gotten over the years, I think that that's true. So I'm going to continue to do that with this show. But I want to start folding in other perspectives that we can leverage as writers. And this is going to benefit me as much as you, so that's why I'm building it. That's sorry for clearing my throat so much. Hold on. I'm gonna mute us. Hold on. Maybe. Hold on. How's that? It's one of those days where there's a lot of crap in the air. Anyway, I'm gonna start bringing in other perspectives. And most of the best businesses in our industry started this way. I need something that does X, and so I'm just going to build it. And hey, I bet other people need X. So that's how BookFunnel got started. It's how Plotter got started. So I think there's an opportunity here. So there'll be that. I think inevitably I'm going to try to I'm not gonna go too far into the weeds here. There's things I have on my mind that I think are gonna work. So 2026 will be the year that I start kind of tinkering with the formats and tinkering with what I offer. But so when JD offered this, I felt like it was a good move. So we're going to jump right into that, and it may end up hosted elsewhere as well. I mean, he's talked to some of the other hosts about whether they want to share it on their YouTube channels, and that's fine. But I want to create a sort of single hub for writers to learn as much as possible and grow as much as possible. And not just writers, but anybody. All the advice you get on the Writers Inc. podcast is applicable to all kinds of things. So you tune in. So that said, make sure you are subscribed to the Writers Inc. podcast if you are someone who listens to everything via the podcast apps. But right here on YouTube, you can find it. You're going to be able to find it when you subscribe to youtube.com/Wordslinger Podcast. So do that, or go to wordslingerpodcast.com. We're going to figure this out. If you have suggestions, let me know. So what else? That's it. I think we're going to have to wrap up. Got recording the Writers Inc. podcast itself here in just a short time. I got a lot of video editing to do now. But anyway, as we wrap up, of course, I want to say that among the things I'm grateful for, I'm grateful that you tune in and listen and watch, that you're here and part of this, part of my found family, part of my journey, professionally and personally. It means a lot to me because I am someone who, for whatever reason, was born to express himself. And if there's no one listening or paying attention, then it's all vapor. It's all just air. But what I have discovered is, as much as I may think no one's listening or paying attention at times, I keep hearing from some of you, and you'll say profoundly kind things, and you'll thank me for something I said or did, and you value the authenticity, you value what I'm saying, what I'm doing. I just appreciate it. It has been a couple of rough years, and there's been a lot of times where I've wondered if I should continue doing the things I do, or if I should just hang it all up. I think everybody goes through that. The good news is that because I've gone through that, I can relate that to people. I can use that as experience to share with you, so that if you are feeling that way, you know that 1, you're not alone, and 2, that there's hope, and 3, that there's someone here willing to be that, that ear, that friend, that found family for you. So thank you for your support, your love, your kindness, for being listeners and viewers. I appreciate it. I can't even express how much I appreciate it. So that's going to do it for this week's Wordslinger podcast. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Go to wordslingerpodcast.com for more episodes. And I'll see you all next time.
Word Slinger.